Welcome to the Scoreboard. All right, it's going to be a lovely day here today. I can just feel it in my bones. I feel it in my bones. You're listening to the Scoreboard with me as your host. Yes, the one, the only Joe Berg. 844 Studio 4 is our phone number if you want to be a part of the program today. Maybe you have something you'd like to talk about. Question, comment, concern. Are you mad, sad, happy, angry, frustrated? Any emotion that you're having, as long as it kind of has something to do with sports, you can call me up. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. I have a decent show on hand for everyone here today. Couple of things, actually. Some interesting this day in sports history items that we will probably get to towards the end of the show. As we always do, we're going to talk about high school basketball because we are very, very close to the end of the season. Most of the schools in the area only have 3 games remaining on their schedule. So with a tight schedule to end things, we're going to talk about where these teams may be positioned in the playoffs, how their outlook is, and what we can expect in the next few games, because right at the end of February is when the brackets are going to be made. Actually, if we take a look at the NCHSAA, North Carolina, that is, North Carolina High School Athletic Association, we will see that the seeding for the tournament begins February 29th, and round number 1 is going to be February 27th. But before that, we have conference tournament games. Those begin in 11 days, so we don't have much time remaining in the schedule for basketball. We're going to make sure we keep you updated on the scores, the records, seeding, all of those fun things. We're going to keep you up to date on them right here on the Scoreboard. Also, I have an NCAA story that I'm going to update you on. We've been talking about the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, and how they determined that Dartmouth had employees playing basketball for them. Yes, they determined that the basketball players at Dartmouth are, in fact, employees of the school. So we do have a little bit of an update to share with you on that one, as well as, and this is a little bit later on, quite a few things dropping in the NBA today. It was the trade deadline a little bit earlier in the day. We had a myriad of moves, more than double digits. So we will talk about that. And actually, the Hornets were slightly active in the trade deadline. Yeah, and it might be surprising to some people to think that, wow, there's other teams that wanted players off of the Hornets. Well, as a matter of fact, there were some teams that wanted Hornets players, so we'll definitely talk about that. And then if we have time today, big if, we're going to get into the NHL because we do have the Hurricanes with a game tonight against Colorado, one of the better teams in the NHL. Actually, if you look at the league standings, Colorado is the 3rd best team in the NHL. So we're going to talk a little bit about that if we do end up having time. But as we always do, let's go ahead and update you on where things stand in high school basketball. No games on store for today, but tomorrow is going to be a busy day in high school basketball. Starting with Mooresville High School, as they tomorrow will be on the road against West Cabarrus. Now, West Cabarrus has had an okay year. They've been hovering around 500. They're coming off a 2-game losing streak now, so they're 9-12. I expect Mooresville to get that one done, stay where they are in the conference standings. 14-7 right now. That's got them pretty well locked into a good seed here. So we'll see where they can go from here. But their next game tomorrow, 7:30 on the road against West Cabarrus. Lake Norman High School is the hottest team in the general area. They are 20 and 2 as of right now. And look, I've been saying I don't know what their real record is because every now and then Max Preps tells me that they have one loss and then it'll change and it'll say, no, they actually have 2 losses. So right now it's got that game against the Start Spartans from Toledo, Ohio listed yet again. So apparently Lake Norman 20 and 2. Not really sure why the schedule changes so much and why the record changes, but nonetheless, they do play tomorrow, a road game, and actually Lake Norman 2 road games before they end their season at home against Mooresville. So tomorrow on the road against Cox Mill. Cox Mill 11 and 10, 5 and 4 in the conference. Should be a game that Lake Norman takes without a problem, but that's why you play the game. Statesville High School has a game tomorrow. It's actually against one of their local rivals in the Iredell-Statesville School District. Tomorrow against North Iredell. And here's the thing about Statesville. They just went on a streak where they played 3 road games in 4 games. They have 3 home games to end the season, but it's not going to be a walk in the park. North Iredell has had an okay year. 9 and 12 right now, just below 500 as a matter of fact. But Statesville, 10 and 10, they're getting it together. They take on North Iredell, and then next week, St. Stephen's and Hickory. Those 2 games, the first one against St. Stephen's and the last one against Hickory, could decide Statesville's season, whether or not they get into the playoffs tonight. So we're going to have a keen eye on that one. But tomorrow night, 7:30 at Statesville High School, we'll have Statesville versus North Iredell. And speaking of North Iredell, I want to at least make sure we talk about them. That 9 and 12 record isn't the best, but they have a chance to end their season strong. Games against Statesville, East Lincoln, and West Iredell. East Lincoln is just a little bit better than them. West Iredell, only 2 wins on the year so far. So maybe a chance for North Iredell to back their way into the playoffs there. And speaking of West Iredell, their next game is not an easy one, and I'm pretty sure the season is over at this point. I don't want to declare that just yet, even though they only have 2 wins on the year. Finish things out strong. 3 games left. Make it good. Finish strong. Maybe get a win. Get a surprise win. Go upset North Iredell or beat Hickory tonight. That would be something, wouldn't it? And then last but not least, you have the South Iredell Vikings in the same spot as West Iredell. 2 wins, 19 losses on the year. Tomorrow, they're on the road against A.L. Brown at 7:30. That is your high school basketball scene. We're going to continue to keep you updated through the remainder of the year. Like I said, for all those schools we went through, everyone's got 3 games remaining, and the first one of those 3 starts on Friday. We'll be right back here on the Scoreboard. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, our weather is about to start changing. The clouds continue to roll in and thicken up, especially overnight. Temperatures only drop down to around 40 around the lake. For our Friday, we'll start out dry with a mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures should be able to warm up close to 60. By the afternoon, a couple of isolated showers possible heading into the weekend. It'll be mild, but it'll also be a bit damp at times. Showers, few of them possible for Saturday, wetter for Sunday and Monday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Merlefest is back, April 25th through the 28th at Wilkes Community College, featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at merlefest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Mooresville Parks and Recreation is excited to bring The Great Magician Murder Mystery Dinner Theater to the Charles Mack Citizen Center, Saturday, February 10th. This is not your usual murder mystery experience. An evening of theater and mystery that will have you laughing and gasping. The Great Magician Murder Mystery Dinner Theater, Saturday, February 10th. For more info, visit ourtownstage.com. Want to attend the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show? Throughout the day, you have your chance to win tickets. Listen to Good Morning LKN, the Home Ad Show, the News Drive at 5, and the Scoreboard. Each show gives you your chance to win. The Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd through the 25th. Looking for a night of bluegrass and Americana? Darren and Brooke Aldridge are coming to Kane Center for the Arts Friday, February 9th. This husband and wife team are celebrating their 9th recorded project together, This Life We're Living. Darren and Brooke Aldridge, Kane Center for the Arts, Friday, February 9th. kanearts.org. That's CAINarts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Make your work easier with Eagle Rentals of Troutman and Statesville. Eagle Rentals has generators, heaters, fans, painting equipment, floor care equipment, pressure washers, lighting equipment, and lawn care equipment. Plus, Eagle Rentals has construction equipment like forklifts, bobcat loaders, backhoes, excavators, and more. Reserve online at eaglerentals.com. That's eaglerentals.com.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And welcome back to the Scoreboard here on WSIC 105.9 107 FM. Call me up at 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. As I always say, streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and our website, WSICnews.com. We're going to change things up a little bit here on the show today. Next, what we're going to do here is we're just going to go through a few miscellaneous news stories that I think everybody should be up to date on. Starting with this first story out of the Korn Ferry Tour. It's like the juniors, the minor leagues for the PGA Tour, if you will. Obviously not that simple, but Cristobal del Solar shoots a record 57 in the Korn Ferry Tour. That is, in case you were wondering, 13 under par. Wow. He played bogey-free, 9 birdies, and 2 eagles. Gets him a 57. I shoot a 57 on the front 9, just so you know. On the front 9 for him, he shot a 27. 27 on the front 9. That's unheard of. That's almost impossible. But it happened. Cristobal del Solar shot a 57. That is the lowest ever score in a PGA Tour sanctioned event. The NCAA is in trouble as the NLRB continues to go through some of their hearings. On Monday, the National Labor Relations Board told players on the Dartmouth men's basketball team that they fit the definition of a university employee. The following day, a federal judge wrote that Tennessee Attorney General is likely to secede on the merits of a claim that the NCAA can't legally punish players or their schools for negotiating name, image, and likeness deals during their recruiting process. So anything is what they're saying. Any cannot be punished by the NCAA. I guess maybe that means you can't really put a cap on it. You can't tell them you're not allowed to negotiate during this time period. That's kind of what I'm getting in those stories there. There is also this from Dartmouth. Administrators at Dartmouth said they plan to appeal this week's decision from the NLRB, which isn't surprising, a process that could take more than a year. In 2014, I don't know if anybody remembers this. I would hope you do, because it was a massive news story at the time. In 2014, an NLRB regional director ruled that Northwestern football players were employees, but an appeal by the school ultimately derailed the players' effort to unionize. Why might this time be more successful? Well, it's because of the legal and public perception of college athletes shifting. But more importantly, the board punted a decision in the Northwestern case, mostly because Northwestern Big Ten peers were public institutions, which have different laws for collective bargaining outside of the NLRB's purview. Basically saying that because Dartmouth is an Ivy League school, it's a little bit different. So don't get your hopes up too much just yet for NCAA athletes to be considered employees of the school. This is more for a private school than anything else. Also, it really doesn't affect Division II and Division III schools. We are, for the most part, talking about Division I because there's not much NIL that goes into Division II and III. But it's not only for Ivy League schools. There is also a claim in Los Angeles for USC. So there's a little bit behind this one too, and there's a lot that still has to happen. There's going to be hearings. I'm telling you right now, eventually, probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 years from now, this is all going to go to the Supreme Court, and because the NCAA has been looking to Congress for help with regulating NIL and saying, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? How do we do this? So eventually all of these lawsuits, all of these hearings, it's going to go to the Supreme Court eventually. That is truly what I think is going to happen. But this isn't going to be for another 3, 4, 5 years from now. I've also heard that there's a thought that with what's going on in college football right now, that eventually, maybe even sooner rather than later, college basketball could secede from the NCAA and literally have nothing to do with the NCAA anymore. That's a little bit more of a long shot, and I've only heard that floated out there. I don't know how the logistics of that would work. I would guess that you would have a commissioner for college football that would just take care of that, and eventually we'll get to that model of NFL-style play with a set schedule and no more freebies. We're not going to see Alabama playing Chattanooga and winning 57-6 anymore, because that's absolutely one of the most ridiculous things about college football, is that they all have these gimme games where they're just like, yeah, let's just schedule them so we can get a win right before a big rivalry game. Ridiculous. Every game should matter. And it kind of doesn't right now in college football. So we'll see what happens with that. And with all of this lawsuits and law changes and rule changes and NIL, we're getting there. Eventually it's going to happen. There's no way we get to a place where people decide, the higher ups decide, yeah, this is actually wrong. We're just going to stick with the NIL. No, it's going to be, they're going to get paid by the school at some point, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, the biggest difference between the USC case and the Dartmouth case is that Dartmouth is a private Ivy League school, meaning none of those players receive scholarships to play basketball at the school. Different at USC, they do get scholarships, so we'll see what happens and what the rulings are on these. Another lawsuit filed in the NCAA, of course, there is. Here's the update on this one, and this is still from the fallout of the college football season. The Florida State Board of Trustees filed a motion on Wednesday to dismiss the lawsuit the ACC filed against it in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, which is just south of us here at Iredell. In the motion, Florida State argues the ACC lawsuit is fundamentally flawed and an improper attempt at procedural fencing. They cite a race to the courthouse to file suit against Florida State first, its failure to secure a 2/3 member vote required by the league constitution to initiate a lawsuit, and a failure to show the Florida State board approved the grant of rights as required by Florida law, among multiple reasons. If the court does not dismiss the lawsuit, Florida State has asked the court to issue a stay on the ACC suit in favor of the lawsuit it filed against the ACC in Leon County, Florida. They argue the Florida action is the broader and more comprehensive action, and the ACC should not be entitled to any first filing deference as a result of its improper forum shopping. This is a big lawsuit, and one of the other steps in what I think is the process of Florida State leaving the ACC, most likely going to either the Big Ten or the SEC. That's just the way it's going to go, because those are the two big players in college basketball or college football right now. And we saw it a few days ago where the Big Ten commissioner and the SEC commissioner said, let's work together. Let's hire a third party to help us through this transitional college football time period. We're going to have two conferences soon. It's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC. That's just the way it's going to go. And if you don't believe so, look at the desperation of the ACC to continue to add teams from the Pac-12. It's not the ACC anymore, or at least it's not the Atlantic Coast Conference. It's the All Coast Conference, because they got teams out there on the Pacific Ocean in their conference now. It's going to be a weird time. So I'll have a little bit more on that SEC Big Ten partnership on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. That is a very big news story right now. So I'm going to make sure to let you guys know what's going on and the latest on that story. Don't go anywhere, and you can call into the Scoreboard 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464 if you have something you'd like to talk about. Stay with me right here on the Scoreboard. We are back right after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, our weather is about to start changing. The clouds continue to roll in and thicken up, especially overnight. Temperatures only drop down to around 40 around the lake. For our Friday, we'll start out dry with a mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures should be able to warm up close to 60. By the afternoon, a couple of isolated showers possible heading into the weekend. It'll be mild, but it'll also be a bit damp at times. Showers, few of them possible for Saturday, wetter for Sunday and Monday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email cmullins@ymcanwnc.org.
If you're 65 or older, And Medicare is your main source of insurance. Pay close attention right now and listen for details on how you may save thousands of dollars on your health care costs. Did you know that Medicare can pay for things like dental visits, home delivery of drugs, even a gym membership? Call us right now and learn how to unlock all your Medicare benefits. Medicare and supplemental plans that we provide can even offer you drug coverage with zero copays and pay for transportation to your doctors. Medicare plans can offer you wonderful money-saving benefits, but you've got to call now. We'll help you get the most out of your Medicare. Make this free, no-obligation call now. Save a ton of money on your health care costs and get the code to unlock all your earned Medicare benefits. Paid for by Senior Choice Plans. 800-508-5774. 800-508-5774. That's 800-508.
Learn how thousands of smart homeowners are investing about $1 to avoid expensive home repair bills. John, a former non-customer, said, "My air conditioner broke and I had to spend $1,900 to fix it." Jeff, a customer, wrote, "My air conditioner broke and I got a new one at no out-of-pocket cost." Mary, a former non-customer, wrote, "My heating system stopped running. I had to spend $3,000 to get a new one." Lisa, a customer, wrote, "My heater stopped working. I got it fixed at no out-of-pocket cost." For about $1 a day, you can have all the major appliances and systems in your home guaranteed fixed or replaced. Call now. If the lines are busy, please call back.
Call the Home Warranty Hotline now at 800-826-9149. 800-826-9149. 800-826-9149. That's 800-826-9149.
Are you 60 plus and love to travel? Introducing the Senior Travel Discount Network, brought to you by Low Cost Airlines. Call us anytime, day or night, and save up to 75% on your airline and hotel reservations. We can help you save a ton of money to fly almost anywhere. We have inside discounts on over 500 airlines and 500,000 hotels worldwide. And when you call and mention the discount code 60 plus, we'll give you an extra free night with your qualified air and hotel reservation. Now you can get the best prices on air and hotel reservations with your phone. We make it easy and fast for you to save money and book a trip. Remember, call the Senior Travel Discount Network, mention the discount code 60 plus for your free hotel night with your qualified reservation. Call now.
210-503-7591. 210-503.
We had a higher close for stocks this Thursday, but really just barely. When you take a close look, the Dow up about 0.1%, better by 49 points. S&P 500 up fractionally 3 points higher. NASDAQ up 0.2%. Higher by 38 points. Some strength in AI and chip making and related companies today helping boost the NASDAQ. Meantime, shares of the ADRs of ARM Holdings skyrocketed 48% higher today. That's a record jump, added $38 billion in value. The chip designer says artificial intelligence spending helped bolster its forecast. And rap star Snoop Dogg and Master P are suing Walmart and Post Foods. They claim the consumer giant conspired to crush their Snoop cereal. The musician's company, Broadus Foods, accuses the world's largest retailer of hiding boxes of cereal in stockrooms to keep them off shelves at Post's instruction. Walmart says many factors affect product sales, including price and consumer demand. Post says it made substantial investments in and was excited about the partnership. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Gentlemen, hello, welcome back to the Scoreboard. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. If you have something on your mind that you'd like to talk about. I told you I'd update you on this SEC Big Ten partnership. Basically, here is the story that has come out. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey said on Wednesday that the new strategic partnership between his conference and the Big Ten Conference is a response to a need for leadership that can introduce some new perspective, new ideas, some new thinking, or maybe even more important, help cut through the bureaucratic tape we face so often in college athletics, but said the relationship is not intended to circumvent the NCAA, at least not yet, in my humblest of opinions. There was a moment during the Paul Feinbaum interview where he alluded to the partnership as an alliance, a term that was previously used by commissioners of the ACC and Pac-12 and the former Big Ten commissioner Kevin Warren. Sankey said on that, "That's a bad word. We can't use that word." He's playing the long game, in my opinion, and Greg Sankey's not going anywhere. He has completely revitalized and repurposed college football. He's changing it as we speak. So he's not going anywhere. They are definitely going to be circumventing the NCAA at some point. I promise you that. Just because he says he's not means absolutely nothing. It's like when we want to expand the playoffs in college football. It's like, hey, that was supposed to happen in 2026. It's in the contract. But then you look at how much money can be made from more playoff games, and you go, yeah, you know what? Who cares about a contract? It's like, not in the same way, but it's like the NFL in gambling for years and years and years and years and years and years. It was a big old no on gambling because the NFL wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. They didn't want anybody to think that their games could possibly be rigged in any such way. Well, Roger Goodell over the last few years kind of lowered his stance on that, and now the NFL has betting partners because of how much money there is in it. The winnings of, not the winnings, but the money that can be made in gambling for the NFL, they realized how much it was. So they said, you know what? We're just going to start to allow it and we'll face the blowback and then everybody will forget. I don't know how long it's going to take for the NCAA to no longer deal with college football, but it's coming. It is coming. Because the NCAA is just as good at getting things done as the U.S. government, which is not very good. Anyway, moving on right along to the NBA. I wanted to get to the NBA because today, earlier today at 3 o'clock, actually, we had the trade deadline. So I want to talk about some of these trades that took place because the Hornets actually sent a couple of their better players. Not that we really have great players, but they sent a couple of their players out and got some things in. But before we start that conversation, let's go ahead and take a caller who has just called into the studio here. Caller, you are on the scoreboard here. What do you got for me today?
Well, good evening, Joe. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing just fine. And how about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. Hey, just wanted to catch on the end of that there where you're talking about basically to get down to the SEC and Big Ten, and you know, I'm with you on that. I mean, the ACC is just, you know, they're locked out of their contract for the next 12 years or whatever. I mean, they're far behind on the money. But it's just disappointing to me. I mean, I'm, you know, a guy that grew up ACC sports, and college sports were huge around here. And, you know, now it's just like they're all semi-pro anyway. You know, these guys are getting paid, and it's just gotten so far away from the true amateur status. You know, what college sports was based on, you know, student athlete. I mean, we're so far removed from that nowadays. It's kind of ridiculous, but
yep.
It's all about the big dollars, like you said, with the gambling now with the NFL. I mean, for the longest time, they never wanted any kind of pro team to be in Vegas just because of the gambling association and all that. But, you know, all that's kind of out the window. I mean, this weekend's going to be a big blowout in Vegas with the Super Bowl, and, you know, over 1,000 private air jets that are flying in for the game. And it's just, you know, it's all about the money. It's a shame, you know, it's kind of gotten away from the true, you know, sports side of things and the enjoyment from that. Now it's just all about media dollars and just, I don't know. I mean, I know you're a younger guy than me, but, you know, it's just kind of, for me anyway, kind of disappointing kind of where we're getting to with, you know, sports in general. I mean, I've always, like I said, always been a huge college fan, but, you know, it's just kind of getting so far away from what that was originally set up as. And, you know, maybe I just don't like change when it comes to that, but I just wish we could go back, you know, to the 80s, 8 teams and everybody played everybody twice. And, you know, but I know it's never, you know, that genie's out of the bottle now, so it's never going to go back. But
yeah, once they started the playoffs, I mean, they were never going to go back. They saw how much money they can get with 2 games, and that's why we got the expansion, or 2 rounds of playoffs, and that's why we got the expansion now to 12 teams in the playoffs. And they're going to lose their amateur status. I mean, if the National Labor Relations Board decides to make all NCAA athletes employees of the school, they're going to have to get paid. And the amateur status is going to be no more. And then the NCAA is going to have to completely pivot and change their business model. I mean, there's a lot of change going on right now. But I think this college football change in the long run, maybe not in the immediate future, but I do think it could be good because I still see a lot of these rivalries sticking around in football, especially once we get to 2 conferences with some divisions in there. You can have your regional rivals in their own division, and then you just go to a playoff based on the model that the NFL has had. So it's going to take a while, but I do think in the long run, it's going to be beneficial.
Yeah. I just don't like where it's at, but, you know, I know, you know, there again, money drives everything, you know, in life. It's just, you know, kind of sad times, I guess, for college sports, the true college sports anyway. But, you know, it's, you know, I mean, these kids, some of these guys are getting paid $4 or $5 million. Some of these quarterbacks, they're making more than some of the backup quarterbacks in the NFL. And, you know, just, I don't know. I guess I just don't like where it's at, but maybe you do. But
well, it's going to add a little bit of parity to things. It's going to add a little bit of question marks to things. And one of the things you're going to see is players decide, you know what? I'm going to get drafted in the 2nd round. I'm going to make $700,000 next year when I could just stay in college and make $3 million this year. And, you know, one of the prime examples, Quinn Ewers with the Texas Longhorns. He decided to forego the draft. He's got a Manning breathing down his neck, and he still decides to go back to Texas because he's probably, and now this isn't what it's confirmed, but he's probably going to end up making more money.
Yeah, I saw where Texas football this past year made like $250 million football.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Well, I'm heading to a commercial break. Appreciate, as always, when you call in. It's always nice to talk to you.
All right, Joe. Have a good night, buddy.
Absolutely. You too. One more segment here on the scoreboard. We're going to get into the NBA trade deadline on the other side of this break. And like I said, it might be messy right now because it is the Wild West with college sports, but in the long run, I think it's going to be much better than what we have now. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this on the scoreboard.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, our weather is about to start changing. The clouds continue to roll in and thicken up, especially overnight. Temperatures only drop down to around 40 around the lake. For our Friday, we'll start out dry with a mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures should be able to warm up close to 60. By the afternoon, a couple of isolated showers possible heading into the weekend. It'll be mild, but it'll also be a bit damp at times. Showers, few of them possible for Saturday, wetter for Sunday and Monday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Merlefest is back, April 25th through the 28th at Wilkes Community College, featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at merlefest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Mooresville Parks and Recreation is excited to bring The Great Magician Murder Mystery Dinner Theater to the Charles Mack Citizen Center, Saturday, February 10th. This is not your usual murder mystery experience. An evening of theater and mystery that will have you laughing and gasping. The Great Magician Murder Mystery Dinner Theater, Saturday, February 10th. For more info, visit ourtownstage.com. Want to attend the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show? Throughout the day, you have your chance to win tickets. Listen to Good Morning LKN, the Home Ad Show, the News Drive at 5, and the Scoreboard. Each show gives you your chance to win. The Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd through the 25th. Looking for a night of bluegrass and Americana? Darren and Brooke Aldridge are coming to Kane Center for the Arts Friday, February 9th. This husband and wife team are celebrating their 9th recorded project together, This Life We're Living. Darren and Brooke Aldridge, Kane Center for the Arts, Friday, February 9th. kanearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Tilly Harley-Davidson is simply the best, and their service department is second to none. Right now, 1K, 5K, and 10K M8 service is only $351.25 plus tax, including SIN 3 and heavy gear oil. Stop by to schedule your next service or online at TillyHD.com. Be road ready with Tilly of Statesville.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, everyone. Final segment here on this Thursday. Man, we've made it to Thursday, and we have barely talked about the Super Bowl that's coming up on Sunday. What is there to really talk about? There's a Super Bowl. We know who the teams are. I gave my prediction. Chiefs are going to win 27-17. What else is there to talk about, honestly? That's why we're going to move on to some bigger and better news. In 844 Studio 4, that's the phone number, 844-788-3464 if you have something on your mind that you'd like to talk about. Let's go to that NBA trade deadline. The Charlotte Hornets were active during the deadline. Little surprising, maybe, but that makes for 3 trades by the Hornets here where they were selling players off. Now, if you remember, they traded away Terry Rozier a little bit earlier in the season before we got to the trade deadline over to Miami. In return, they got Kyle Lowry, which was really just a cap play, and a first-round pick 3 years from now in 2027. But today, they made a few more moves, starting with Gordon Hayward, the forward that plays for them. He is the guy, Gordon Hayward, if you remember way back when Duke was playing Butler in the NCAA championship game, Gordon Hayward was the player who threw up that last-second Hail Mary, and it went off the rim, and I thought he was going to make it, number one. I thought we were going to have a buzzer beater, not Hail Mary, half-court shot for the win in the NCAA tournament. But that's who that was. He's in Charlotte. They kind of stink now, so he gets traded away to Oklahoma City. And in return, Charlotte gets 3 players along with 2 second-round picks. And then another forward was moved on from. The Dallas Mavericks traded for P.J. Washington. In return, Charlotte acquired Grant Williams and Seth, not Steph, Seth Curry, along with a 2027 first-round pick that is top 2 protected. So the Hornets They have been acquiring draft picks like crazy here. Now they have three in 2027. And the rebuild is off and running. So here's how it breaks down for Charlotte right now. They have 3 first-round picks in 2027. They don't have a first-round pick in the year 2024, which would be this upcoming draft. They have 1 in 2025 and 1 in 2026. So I don't know really who they're eyeing that's in high school right now that they've acquired 3 2027 first-round picks. But we're going to have to suffer through a few more years of a rebuild. It's going to be slow. It's going to take some time. Maybe 5 years down the road, we'll be able to talk about the Hornets actually being a legitimate contender. But I'm really not sure what their plan is right now. Obviously, when you're bad, trading your decent players for future draft picks is a good idea. Even some players to just fill the bench and fill some roles. And who knows, maybe things click with who you have and you can start to build some chemistry. But that's not really what I think they're doing here. I think they just decided to get rid of 2 of their best players, get what we can for them, and look towards the offseason because it's going to be a long ride from here on. I don't know what the timetable is for the Hornets. Obviously, for the Panthers, we have a little bit more of a time frame. We expect them to be good in the next couple of years because they have that franchise quarterback. They have a new GM, new head coach. Hopefully things get turned around relatively quick. Well, in the NBA, when you trade for first-round picks 3 years from now, not really sure you're too confident in your ability to turn things around in the immediate future. But there were some other trades that took place today. Let's go through some of the more notable ones. Starting with, let's see here, Doug McDermott got sent to Indiana, and in return, San Antonio got Marcus Morris Sr. and cash, along with a second-round pick. Patrick Beverly, Pat Bev, if you will, got acquired by Miami from the 76ers. Spencer Dinwiddie goes from the Brooklyn Nets to the Toronto Raptors. And the Knicks, the New York Knicks, made a trade. They traded away quite a bit. Quentin Grimes, Malachi Flynn, and a couple other players, along with 2 second-round picks for Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic. So the Knicks are trying to make a little bit of a statement here in the NBA season. Not really sure if the Knicks are ever going to be able to break whatever curse they have on them, considering they can't win anything. But right now, they're the 4th team in the Eastern Conference, looking to do good. I'm a little bit surprised that the Cavaliers weren't more active during the trade deadline. They didn't make a single trade on deadline day. They are currently, as we speak, the number 2 team in the East. And they kind of just stood steady and they didn't do anything. Not what I would do personally, but maybe they have a long run plan that I'm not aware of. Also, I would have expected the Thunder to maybe be a little bit more active on this deadline. I mean, they did get Gordon Hayward from Charlotte, which is nice, but as the best team in the West, you would think that they would be going all in with the young team that they have there. That was a pretty quick turnaround, too, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Some other things in the world of sports that's in the news. We have an NHL update for you. The Carolina Hurricanes are currently 6 points behind the New York Rangers, but they have 2 less games played than the Rangers. So technically, if you want to be like, let's assume that those 2 games would be won by Carolina, they could get as close as 2 points back. But the Metro standings, if you look at it and you just take it for face value, you might say, all right, things are starting to separate a little bit. 2nd through 7th are separated by 10 points. But then you look at the amount of games played by these teams and you realize some of the teams lower in the standings have less games played than the guys higher in the standings, which means there's more points to be earned. So who knows? A month from now, when we hit the NHL trade deadline, which is a month from today, we could be talking about a Metropolitan Division that has tightened up significantly, and the Hurricanes might not be safe. They are 3 points ahead of the Flyers, and they are 7 points ahead of the Islanders, but it's still not a safe place to be. They got to separate a little bit more. I don't think anybody's really safe right now in the Metro. If you go on a cold streak, you're going to get caught. The Hurricanes have a game coming up tonight as they will be at home yet again. Only a couple of home games left on this homestand for Carolina. They will be visited by the third best team in the NHL, that being the Colorado Avalanche. That game is on tonight at 7 o'clock, basically right when we drop from the scoreboard here. Real quick, while we have another minute, last night, some college basketball action. I'll just give you the ranked team rundowns. Tennessee beat UCLA. Duke beat Notre Dame. Wisconsin, the 11 seed, lost to Michigan, who is having a terrible year. Even though, they won the college football championship, so they can't be too upset. Auburn, the 12 seed, beat the 16 seed Alabama, and they beat them pretty handedly at that, 99-81. And then Creighton, the 19 team in the country, lost their game against Providence. And we have a couple of ranked teams in action tonight. Utah is going to be taking on number 8 Arizona, and UAB takes on number 20 Florida Atlantic. One more thing to talk about here. I did predict the Chiefs as your Super Bowl champions. 27-17 is my final score. But when you go on to any sportsbook app right now, you might notice Kansas City Chiefs 2.5-point underdogs going into Sunday. I don't know about that. We have entered the era of do not bet against Patrick Mahomes. He is that guy, and he is going to take that team to many more Super Bowls than what we could imagine. As long as he stays healthy, which you should never, ever root for someone to get hurt. Not that I'm saying anybody has. I'm just, in general. Thanks for tuning in this week to the Scoreboard. We have one more show tomorrow for you before we get to the weekend. Tomorrow is Friday, so it should be a fun one. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in today. Appreciate the calls, the shares, the love and support, everything all around. I'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Until then, I'll talk to you then. Have a good one, everyone.
The new